A wise man once told me to hold fast to the true friends I am blessed with, for they do not come often in life. I have been blessed to know Synae Allen since 7th grade, when we became best friends. Ever since, I have had the pleasure of watching her blossom into the woman she is today. We have shared many inside jokes about pen caps and cats and how my back itches. But more importantly, she inspires me every day through her resilience, humility, and excellence. Resilience because she always bounces back. Humility because even as a published poet, she is humble. And excellence simply in the way she lives. I admire Synae not only for the many accomplishments she has achieved, but for the genuine person she truly is. I will be sure to hold fast to our friendship, because people like Synae do not come often in life. So please stand to greet my best friend, Synae Lorraine Allen.
Thanks, Mom. Please be seated. What it means to be amazing. For the last 3.5 years of my life at the Academy and all it included, I've been wondering if my decision to come here was right. If my decision to come here has at all been beneficial to my life. I knew that the next 4 years would be difficult because anywhere that I chose to go, I would have to enter a new community. I knew that my transition to high school would be challenging because of a change in authority. What I didn't know was how long it would take to make a difference, because I never classified myself as a minority. I'd always find myself saying, home is not the place you always are, never near but always far. It's like shooting for the moon and not even landing among the stars. I'd always find myself saying, EA was the best school I've ever known. So instead of doing me, being alone, I would live the motto, embody the stripes, so that I can make it to the top on my own, with EA as my newest home. But in doing so, I came to the conclusion that you either belong here or you don't. I came to the conclusion that I wanted to fit the status quo, to be the highly religious, incredibly artistic, semi-athletic, musically inclined scholar who wouldn't stop until she became the best, the one who wouldn't stop until she beat the rest, because of this conclusion that EA had no room for nothing less. In doing so, I was not living EQV, because I wasn't living me. In doing so, I came to the realization of what it means to be amazing. And this is what I want to share with you all today. This is a story of how I found my way. I made myself a promise that I would be my own fallen angel. And I made my life into a metaphor that went something like this. There is no other word to describe you by. You have fallen from the sky for a reason. You have shown me the importance of life during this hectic winter season. There is no way for you to return, and God knows I don't want you to. But soon you'll have to go, and there is nothing I can do. I am thinking while I watch as the snow falls on the ground. I wonder what I will do if my fallen angel is not around. I know that you'll never leave me, and that you'll watch me through the night, because I know that this gift that has fallen will shine on me with its light. My standard gave me protection, because I knew it wouldn't give up until I had achieved my angel status. My standard was something that I knew that I could fit. What helped me the most was when I was able to give it up because I'd achieved and passed it. But I was at fault because I wanted to be my own angel, because of my independence. My mind worked in a way that it thrived to be on self-sufficient, and I made myself believe that I'd be fine if I managed to not let people in it. So in all honesty, I wanted to be able to make everyone around me feel great, offer some advice that always works, and support a friend, so that a few setbacks wouldn't be like life coming to an end. I physically and mentally could not, and maybe still cannot ever put myself first, because I don't want my selfishness to ever get someone else hurt. I basically went every day fearing for someone else's life, and because I focused on theirs, I guess I just forgotten about mine. I wished I could fix the problems of the world, move mountains, uproot trees, make it a better place to be. I started my journey by being there for everyone else but me. This plan worked for a while because my mind was constantly on top of what was happening at church, at school, and at home. It worked because I never had to try to fix the problems of my own. And then, as most plans do, it stopped working. Being caught up with what you could not control can easily take its toll when winning in its entirety gets old. Being caught up on what I could not control went from being an escape route from the problems I worked around to the epitome of all that could bring me down. It was those instances when I saw a person I had love for, suffering from a pain I could not cure, when I saw a life so fragile that in a split second it could be no more. Instances in which I was running from a situation that could not be escaped and the days were oh so long, when I felt no sense of dignity and my right was always wrong. Times when it was just me and when it was my responsibility to settle what I could not control and forced to be something I didn't want to be. When my problems became secondhand and it was my job to make everyone else happy. And finally, when I was put down because of our different meanings of success and what I had done was just not good enough for me. Some said I always had to be showing off when a failure was all I could see. So I learned that solving the problems of the world just wasn't meant to be. 2 Sundays ago marked the beginning of Advent, a season of preparation that symbolizes what we work on as a whole community. It symbolizes the state of mind we strive to achieve in order to live happily. It symbolizes the disruption of individual thinking and the combining of ideas to make what we work for work. It symbolizes peace. In reality, the Lord was faced with every problem we claim to have. He was in the world to do some good, and everyone hated him for it. He was taking away the defectiveness of society so that everyone else could have the possibility of winning, and everyone titled him a loser. He confided his entire mission into those who claimed to love him, and they loved him. He tried to instill some type of peace into the world, and they rioted against him. He died so that we can have life, and we put ourselves in a position to accept death all over again. And this is why the second part of my journey began, the part that allows me to say I love who I am. You see, I've heard that if you've never met the devil, it's because you're heading in the same direction that he is, that what you believe is you're too good to turn around because of what seems to be perfect, what seems to be a future that will remain the same. A future that has no obstacles because you disregard those surrounding you. No limits because you do as you decide, and no end because you think you can recreate your own beginning. The second half of my story transitions from my desire to help others to my desire to help myself and be able to design my own future. I've heard that you can't judge a book by its cover, but what if the book has never been opened, will never open, and still hate you for not reading it? You don't know if the book has anything in it to be read. It's like what they say versus what they think. You know, like when they say, hey, you know, what's up, how you been? Greet you each morning with the same old grin. And then they think, hey, yo, I'm really not feeling her, not someone I like, there's really no more I can concur. They say, how's life? And you look quite nice today. I love your hair, your shoes, your shirt. But that's just what they say. They think, good Lord, I'm nice to everyone, that's a wrap. And have mercy, how on earth could she buy that? They say, you're sweet, a good person, let's hang out. We could, should, would be friends without a doubt. They think, I'm smooth, everyone loves me. I'll just play along with a joke they'll never see. I decided to write a story about me so that they would have something to base their thoughts on. I decided to write my story. A story with no outside rules to obey. A story that accurately resembled my love, hope, and faith. A story that let me write all I wanted to say. And I titled my story, A Doctrine of Lady Nay. A Doctrine of Lady Nay, inspired by the way she lives, taking on a new look with each day, and realizing that life is the way it is. Being about love and completely self-giving, showing God's mercy even unearned, rising up, facing death to stay living, and trying to get a point across that's unheard. Shaping the mindset of my peers, not the present, we the future. Conquering obstacles and therefore our fears, stop being used and become the user. So as Lady Nay, I set my standards high, and I always have something to achieve. Completely aware of none other than I continue doing what you failed to believe. I know who I've been, who I am, and who I want to become. I know what I did, what I do, and what needs to be done. I know where I've been, where I am, and where I want to go, and I'm happy. So quite possibly, I've already won. It just so happens that my journey at EA had 2 parts, and now I know it's never too late to start. My freshman year was a struggle. I thought I'd never fit in. I thought my high school career would never come to an end, and I made it all my sin. Until today, where I'm creating a new life to begin. My senior year, I'm pretty much ready to go, but then again, I don't really want to leave. And you know, whatever happened freshman, sophomore, junior year, I would definitely make the same decisions again. No answer can prove to be right. And hey, it's taken me 3.5 years to bleed blue and white. I'm a Black, beautiful woman in an environment that not many others will ever have the chance to claim. I'm a poet, a musician, a student who, as most do, has the goal of one day rising to fame. My story, as it stands today, has no complaints because every setback I faced at this school has made me stronger. I have a lot to say I overcame. So now that I know myself, from being down, coming around and getting my own help and guide, I'm no longer left behind. I'm restored to my health. And now, because I can speak, I can say about myself, I know what it takes to be amazing. I know what it takes, but I do not believe I'm there yet, because there's so much more I simply don't get. What does it take? It takes being able to come up with a plan for your life, live it, and then perfect it. It takes being able to know both what does and does not appeal to you, no matter where you happen to begin. It takes falling just to get back up again. I'm standing here to tell all of you that you've done just that. I'm standing here to tell you that I've noticed what the world is too afraid to acknowledge, but then again they do, just not to you. They can find it, their feelings of course, because they're afraid of letting anyone else know you have the ability to make them smile, when in fact, they themselves don't even know how. I've seen that members of the faculty are virtuous, honest, and thus, others are afraid to say that just maybe they've experienced life a little longer and know more about being amazing to share it with us. Our visitors know what they've seen, what people in the streets say, and they seem to be trying to achieve the same life we have, similar indeed, but they fail to understand that being mean and incredibly unclean is not an ideal life. They just fail to believe. All of us in one way or another have beaten and have been beaten. We have cheated and have been cheated. We can relate because we have been where our peers are seated, and we are all going in a direction where we can say our goals will be completed. So now that you are accomplishing your fight and are positive that you have given it all of your might, in order to continue following the light, your Christ, the only one who promises eternal life, you can help all, and they will know you're right. So, this was general with a bit of specification, mixing some irony with personification, using communication and paying close attention to enunciation, using admiration through individualization to go through and acknowledge specifically my realization. And at last, I've come to the conclusion that you, as members of the Episcopal Academy community, as friends who have made high school a great time, as teachers who have aided to the development of body, spirit, and mind, and as members of a family, and more importantly, my family, are pretty amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Synae. Please be seated. So many wonderful turns of phrase in Synae's poem. And during the season of Advent, a time of preparation and reflection, certainly those moments in her poem are really ripe grist for our mill of getting closer to our God and closer to one another. So her poem is going to be up on our web very quickly. It may already be there now, so that you can take a look at that throughout the day and use part of that in your own personal meditation. The one that I've been using is this incredible moment in her poem. You see, I've heard that if you've never met the devil, it's because you're heading in the same direction that he is. What an image. Thanks again, Synae.